All right, welcome to Two Sons Podcast. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope all of you guys are having a great start to your week. We are leading with House of the Dragon this week, not The Acolyte. But you bet your ass we're going to talk some Acolyte. We're going to record later. It's going to be, we're going to release it probably tomorrow. But House of the Dragon, episode 6, the second one in a row that was like not overly eventful.
Yeah.
But entertaining nonetheless.
Still enjoyable. Yeah, it's still continuing of just some great writing.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you can't really beat it.
Yeah, just a classic, the classic Game of Thrones slow burn is in
Right.
full effect, which means we're probably going to get some crazy stuff in the final 2 episodes, which I'm very much looking forward to. We get a little bit of craziness in this episode. We got a little bit of a mugging that occurred outside of the set.
Casual mugging.
A casual
out
mugging.
Of a church. Yep. And
Casual
then,
arm getting chopped off.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. I forgot about that. And then new Dragon Rider.
We got a new Dragon Rider.
That's a big one.
That's probably the major plot point in this episode that we can kind of focus in on. So at the end of last episode, Rhaenyra and Jacaerys are having a chat about their bloodline and finding some Dragon Riders. So they bring in Sir Darklyn.
Poor guy.
Who was, according to Rhaenyra, the most qualified candidate. Remember?
Because it was like his grandmother's grandmother had the blood of the dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Which would suck to hear as a human. You're like, hey, do you want to try and ride a dragon? Your great ancestors did. You feel qualified?
And even some of them weren't able to do it.
Chances are you're probably going to die. Are you sure you want to do this?
He was game.
He was
like,
game.
down.
And then she's like, are you sure though? I
Yeah.
can't force you to do this. And he's like, no, it's my will.
Yeah, she definitely gave him plenty of opportunities to turn back, but confidence ended up being his issue because he was very much like, yeah, I'm gonna ride this
I
dragon.
know.
And then he like got to the dragon. He's like, yeah, I'm about to ride this dragon. And then
like,
the
I
dragon,
did it.
Sea Smoke was like, no, bro.
Dude, Sea Smoke is
Yeah.
such a great name for
Yeah,
a dragon too.
I know.
It's so like all these names are so foreign sounding, right? And then it's like Sea Smoke. You know what I mean?
Well,
Viserys and Sea Smoke.
all of them are like the Valerian names. It's like
Yeah.
this is Syrax and
Right.
Caraxes
And
and
Sea Smoke.
Vhagar and Sea Smoke.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Every single time I hear it, I'm like, I freaking love that name.
Well, one of the common things in Game of Thrones is you get into the original series, which we haven't done on the show, but we're going to eventually do, is there's a lot of discussion of like bastards and how they kind of fit inside of all of this like society and like specifically how they're treated, how they're revered by the nobles. Like,
Right.
So for instance, Jon Snow, and you remember this because you watched season 1, but like the Stark family would all sit up at the top, like at the big table at the head of the room for their feasts. And like Jon Snow would have to sit down with the others. His mother hated him, you know, because like obviously, like she's under the impression that Ned Stark was like off at war, just having sex, like just getting down with other women. And so she's like, this is a sign of infidelity, like
Right.
whatever. Same thing goes with Ramsay Snow, who ends up being a bastard that we become very familiar with later in the show. It's like he kind of gets talked down by his father, and when his father ends up impregnating his wife and they give birth to a son, like Ramsay Snow, like even his father like talks down to him like he has no power. It's kind of like a thing.
Yeah.
And what I think is fascinating is like Rhaenyra goes, Sir Darklyn is the most qualified dragon rider because his great grandmother was, one of these like trueborn Valerians, right? But what's fascinating about that is like we know that Lord Corlys, one generation down, has his sons. I think they're Adam and Alan are the two names, but Adam, who ends up being the guy that Sea Smoke like straight up like forces himself on.
I know.
At the end of the episode.
He knew he was out there somewhere.
Sea
He's like,
Smoke
I'm going
is
to
like,
find you.
You were going to ride me.
Did you see the turd that they tried to put on my back
like-
earlier? No, you're going to ride
That's
me.
literally probably what he was thinking. He was probably thinking like, Rhaenyra's about to put some bum on
I
my
know.
back. I'm going to have to fry like 6 dudes before we get to this. So like, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. We're tracking down Alan, right? But like,
But I'm still going to kill your dude because that was annoying. Never do that again.
But I think, yeah, exactly. I think it's fun. And he also took down one of the dragon trainers. It
He
was
did.
Like
That kinda
that
sucks,
died
too.
in the process. But
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating because like
Yeah,
part
he
of
slit his throat.
the
was-
bastard
wow.
ended up being the most qualified because, as it turns out, like, yeah, he's actually just one generation removed.
Well,
he's
yeah.
got Lord Corliss's blood in his
And
veins.
he didn't grow up with the silver spoon. You
Exactly.
know, like that is like such a common plot point in House of the Dragon and Game of
He's a
Thrones.
badass.
Like all
Yeah.
these people that grow up with the silver spoon in their hand, like kind of grow up to be little a-holes, right?
Most of them.
Yeah, most of
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
them. So the fact that he didn't do that, like, really makes him a viable candidate.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought that was really fascinating. Obviously, like it ends up being stressful at the end when Rhaenyra is just like having a really great moment with Lady Miss Arya,
Oh.
right? They're just getting down with each other, and all of a sudden someone barges in and they're
I know,
like,
and she's like,
Seasmoke has a rider.
I've come to terms where like I feel like in House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones, relationships, if they're like more than just like a friend, like if it's like an actual like relationship, I feel like it signifies like fidelity. Like that's like its main like fixture in the plot. Like if you are kissing somebody, then you actually care about them.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you know what I mean. Like
There's not. What you're saying is there's less whoring around than you were expecting in the show
yeah,
from
well,
the nobles.
yeah.
from the
But like,
nobles.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, like now we know that like this bond between these two women are like legit because they kiss each other and they're not just friends, Like, so it's legit. Like
This
they're
is
loyal.
from Luke, who thought that
They're loyal to
the
each other.
stranger was making
And-
moves on Osha.
And he is. Everyone thinks that. Okay, listen to the Acolyte after this, everybody. He totally is. You're spewing blasphemy.
It was the two of them have chemistry. It kind of works. Like
they do.
Rhaenyra and Lady
Well-
Mysaria, because they've kind of been like playing the compliment game for a while. It's
Right.
like, you're the only queen I want to serve, and it's like, well, you have this ability.
They're
to
the
help me
only people
master
that aren't
whispers.
a-holes to each other. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It was kind of odd, though, because what's her name? Lady, how do you say her
Mysaria.
name? Yeah, she was like talking about her like childhood trauma, and then that just led directly into them making out. And like,
Yeah, that was
that's
kind of
an
a
odd.
weird. Yeah,
Maybe,
Yeah.
that doesn't do it for me, But if it does it
classic-
for you,
the classic long hug.
Yeah.
the long hug
Came out of nowhere.
Yeah, whenever there's a long hug in Game
Yeah.
of Thrones, that there's something that's about to happen. Working through some of the other particulars of the episode. So the episode opens up with Jason Lannister's army on the move, forcing his host on a castle.
yeah,
Jason and Tyland are twins, by the way. That's why they both look exactly alike.
is that the
But-
same actor?
Yeah, I would imagine so.
I would assume so.
Yeah,
Mhm.
generally speaking, I feel like that's just what Hollywood does. Is
Right.
they just put the same person in there. I mean, that was Osha and May, right?
That'd be what? Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So, anyway, Jason Lannister is like, if I'm not mistaken, like Tyland Lannister I think he's master of coin and holds a position at court. But Jason Lannister, I believe, is actually like the lord of the of Casterly Rock, which is where the Lannisters are from.
Oh, okay.
Which, by the way, in terms of the whole firstborn, secondborn son thing, twins feel like they would be like a bit of a issue there, right?
What do you mean by that?
Like the firstborn son is entitled to
like,
everything.
I see.
Yeah.
That would be an issue. I think it would literally be like firstborn. Son.
Yeah, I think
like, it
they'd
would
be like he came out first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like 10 seconds before.
Yeah.
Or maybe 5 minutes. I don't
Yeah.
know. It
But
depends
that-
how. Yeah.
That feels like a pretty crazy reason to choose
That
a
kind
king,
of sucks.
though.
Well, I mean, dude, this is Game of Thrones. This is
We're
House of the
making-
Dragon.
we're making it work.
Nothing makes sense.
So I put in my notes here, Aemon being a dick in the small council meeting.
Yeah.
So like he was just going around the room,
But just yes, he was, but I think he's doing it in a very kingly fashion. You know what I mean? Like
you're very pro Aemon.
I kind of am. I don't know why. Like I think that he is one of the few. Okay, well, when you're looking at him and his brother, he's definitely the clear-cut better king.
So here's the thing. Aegon was willing to listen to counsel.
Was he though?
Aemond is like, fuck you.
But he's making relatively good choices, right? For the most part.
I disagree. So there was a
Okay,
there
he
was-
hasn't hung rat catchers out in front of the castle.
So let's
start there.
Let's go through the specifics. So the first move that he made as regent in the last episode, while the camera was zooming in on Alicent having a panic attack, was to close the gates of the city so that people couldn't leave. because they were going out and spreading
Okay,
word.
that's
of
a
the
bad
famine,
choice.
which directly led to all of the shit that happened in this episode.
That's a good point.
So and that, like you could literally see Allison as she's sitting there in the chair, she's having a freak out, and then he goes like, "I'm gonna close the gates," and she literally goes like she has like a little like you could see it in her eyes.
They have
She's
thousands
he's-
of prisoners.
She's like, he's gonna what?
Yeah,
Like,
that's a
but,
good point.
Coming back to this one, it's like he's super like Tywin Lannister's request was like, hey, my brother Jason is willing to send the Lannister army to Harrenhal as long as you send Vhagar with them.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. Like
Why not? Yeah.
Like, did anybody else see what the like?
All right, you're making good points.
as
You know
Kristen
more
Cole
about
said-
Game of Thrones than me.
Kristen Cole said in this small council meeting, he's like, we took heavy losses from
Yeah.
from Melees, right? So like, Tywin Lannister's like, my brother needs the dragon, and Aegon's like, Aemond, excuse me, basically threatened. He kind of said like, it was kind of like, you better march to Harrenhal, or
Right.
my dragon's going to be a different kind of problem for you. Like, I'm going to barbecue you.
These
and
are all
of your
good
people.
points. But at least he's somewhat strategic. Like, at least all of his decisions have some sort of strategy behind them. Whereas Aegon just wasn't strategic at all, I feel like. He
You're
just,
right.
like, listened to what everybody told him. And then when he wasn't listening to what everyone told him, he was getting drunk and then riding on Dragonback into a battle that he was going to lose. Like, and he's just kind of a big whiny, you know what? And I feel like Aemond just carries himself so much more poised than his bro.
I think we can all agree that Aemond is a more impressive and talented and like competent human
Yes.
being. Like that goes without
Absolutely.
saying, right? I think we all agree about that. I was actually thinking about this within a basketball context the other day, like how like certain talents without other talents are useless. So for instance, like I've played a lot of basketball with guys that like have every dribble combination in the book and can really hit pull-up jump shots and can shoot the basketball, but like their basketball IQ is so low that they're
Yeah.
just bad basketball players. Like, and the worst thing is those guys always think that they're good basketball
Right.
players, right? And like we've all seen guys like that, and it's like actually like he has all this talent, but there's like this basketball IQ piece that's missing, right? There are guys that have all the basketball IQ but don't have the skill.
physical
yeah, or
attributes,
the
or
physical
even-
attributes,
yeah.
right? Like the talent, right? And like I think like in a weird way, like is Viserys, for instance, excuse me, is he anywhere near as like skilled as a swordsman as Aemond? No.
No.
Is he? Is he as smart as Aemond? Like, probably in the same ballpark. They both seem like smart guys. Like, is he as assertive and strong as Aemond? No. Like, Aemond's way more strong and assertive. But like, what Allison keeps harping at is like he doesn't have the temperament. Like,
Right.
Aemond makes bad decisions. Like
He does.
just does. Like
You're right.
He goes up to Sir Kristen Cole, and Kristen Cole's like, "Dude, I have no army. My army got burnt by a dragon." And he's like, "Well, I think surprise is our advantage." He's like, "Well, dude, the people from Highgarden are coming up here in a few weeks, and then we can all go together." And he's like, "No, you're going to go right now." And he's like,
You
"Well,
know-
maybe we'll have Vhagar." And then he's, "Well, I'm not going to give you Vhagar until you're already there." And it's like, well,
You're right. He also did start this by killing Luke on
yeah,
accident.
yeah."
So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just pull the reins back on what I was talking about
So,
earlier. I agree with you.
I thought I had talked you off this ledge last week. I can't believe we had to circle back.
Yeah, you're right. We'll do it again next week. We'll see what the topics are then.
Luke is pro Aemond One Eye. So he finishes.
Mad Eye
his,
Moody.
He finishes his being a dick fest by going up to by going up to Laris.
Oh
and being
my
like,
gosh.
Like basically like pumping him up like he's about to make him the
I
hand of
know.
the king and being like, "You imbecile! You think I meant you?
You're
I
right.
meant Otto Hightower." So then Otto Hightower, and then to top it all off, makes Allison stick around just so he could fire her from her position.
I know. You're right. He's a pretty big a-hole. I'll give it to him. He takes the cake right now for biggest a-hole in House of the Dragon, which is a really hard
Position
achievement.
to be. Yeah,
like,
it's hard to be the biggest
you've
a-hole in Game of Thrones.
and he's number one right now.
Yeah, like he's winning in a contest that also has Daemon, who like stuck a knife to a poor guy's throat for no damn reason.
Yes, I know. Yeah. Is that what we talk about next? Oh
Like,
my gosh.
I think the directors and the writers in that scene, the scene in the small council,
Mm-hmm.
had one goal in mind. Let's show everyone how Aemond is a dick. Like, I think that's the purpose that they're.
I agree. I totally agree. Yeah.
Going through. Let's see. Rhaenyra sends the food to King's Landing.
Yes.
So this is Lady Myssaria's. This is. I think you and I are on the same page here.
When
Actually, I think I know what you're going to say, but I just want you to say it, and then I'll piggyback.
Everyone's like, "Oh, Rhaenyra's even thinking about us, even in these times of need." And it's like, you idiots! She's the one that started this trade embargo in the first place.
I know.
And if that flies over everybody's heads, and if they don't address that, I'm gonna have a tiny freak out.
They really do try to make like the small folk seem like idiots. Like
I know.
Get whipped up into a fervor.
Yes, they do, and it happens really, really fast.
Yeah.
It happens so fast. Like 1 second, everything's fine, and then the next, they're just all freaking out together. You know, trying to attack the queen and Lady Alicent.
Well, and it's like they're always like bizarrely passionate, like pro royals. Like at the same time, like it's all. So for instance, like. In that scene when they're all in, when Alicent and Helena like magically get back into they somehow survive the mob and get back into their little
buggy
giant.
Which, by the way, like they're like, oh, we made it, and then meanwhile there's 1,000 people encircled around them. It's like, you guys are not safe.
Yeah.
Like, can you please get a move on?
I thought that could have gotten that to me was a little bit of like a unbelievable escape.
Yeah.
At one point, Alicent and Helena were like pinned up against the wall by the mob.
I know. And then they like squiggled away. You know, I don't know if that's a word.
There were some high tower soldiers there. Squiggled. I think everybody knows what you're putting down there. But like, I thought the exact same thing because like they're in the like the little mini hand carried house. And some immaculate woodworking on that thing too.
I know, it's incredible.
I think they were just using chisels. I think it was made with
that
chisels.
would take a lot of time.
Luke's a woodworker.
Someone spent a month and a half making a little flower ornament for that.
I bet you there's woodworkers who make sets though. I bet that's
they're
like the whole thing.
Yeah, I bet a lot of it is foam.
You think so?
Yeah.
Could
you imagine having like a horse-drawn carriage that's made of like red oak?
No, you're right. I think in all likelihood that it was foam.
The same people that can craft like that style of foam though would also be great woodworkers.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some 3D printing involved in some of this stuff too.
Yeah. Now, yeah, for sure.
But anyway, now that we try to bring this back to get back on the freeway for a second. People are yelling and screaming in the background, like stuff about Rhaenyra and how amazing she is. And like, I get it. Like, here's what makes sense to me. Like, screw Aegon, screw Aemond, screw Alicent. We're all going hungry. This is their fault. Like that makes sense to me. Here's what doesn't make sense to me. Like, go Rhaenyra. She's the queen. God bless Queen Rhaenyra. And it's like, what?
That's like being upset about like the Dallas Cowboys sucking and then rooting for the team that's playing your team, which is the Dallas Cowboys. You know what I mean? Also, can we address the fact that someone tagged Lady Alicent in the face with like a fish?
Yeah, like straight up, like yeah.
If that doesn't get you killed back then, I don't know what would. Can you imagine they're sitting at the dinner table and they're just like kind of around and like, hey, you tagged Lady Alicent in the face tonight with a fish. How did that feel? And they're like, yeah, I can't believe I'm still alive. Do you think they know who I am?
I can't believe she's still alive because like she probably caught like a couple of different diseases.
Yeah, there's some nastiness there.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second though. So if I was trying to make the case for why you'd be pro Rhaenyra,
I think there's
you would say,
reasons.
Okay, as soon as you decided to usurp the throne, and go against King Viserys' wishes,
his public wishes,
you immediately, and his private wishes, as we know, Alicent was basically lying.
True,
but like you immediately sign up for war, right? That war, because of the obvious family connections, is going to involve Lord Corlys obviously being with the Reds or the Blacks, excuse me. So, with that being the case, like you knew, immediately when you decided to put Aegon on the throne, that you were going to face a blockade. And like what they kept saying is like the Navy, like the Lannister Navy is all the way on the opposite end of the continent. They have to sail all the way around the bottom portion of the continent to get there. That's why they're saying it's going to be months. That's why Aemon wants to start an alliance with the Triarchy, which is obviously a bad idea.
Right.
So like that's where that's coming from. So like again, the idea would be Rhaenyra should have been the queen. Rhaenyra is doing obviously what she had to do because the crown was usurped from her.
Mm-hmm.
Now Rhaenyra is aware of the fact that this led to hunger and starvation, and she's sending us food. Am I
Yeah.
devil's advocating
No,
us at
no.
all?
Oh no, I think I'm so pro Rhaenyra that I'm agreeing with just everything that you're saying. like I could not be more over.
This guy was Team Aemon like 5 minutes ago.
No,
by
I'm
the
not.
way.
No. All I'm saying is he has kingly attributes, even though he's an a-hole, which is actually part of the kingly attributes list, right? But if
Viserys and Aegon were light on kingly attributes too. In your defense,
yes, I would be shocked if anybody was like pro greens in this.
no, I don't.
Versus
Yeah, I think
pro blacks.
if you're pro greens in this, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, like if you're pro green, like I really want to know why. Like
Yeah.
put it in the comments,
Yeah.
please, because like I don't know why you would be at all. There's literally no reason, in my opinion, why you'd be like pro green in this. Like, but it is a little bit ridiculous that like, and then it's so funny because it's almost like Rhaenyra is like leading into her own stuff too. It's like she's like fooling herself. She's like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna help my people by sending these tiny boats full of like fresh veggies. Like it's almost like she forgot that she was like doing the trade embargo. You know?
Well, what's so silly about that, to your point, and like what undercuts the my pro Rhaenyra case there is like it's not like Rhaenyra and Lady Mysaria were sitting there like, hey, the people of King's Landing are suffering. We need to send them food. They were
Right.
like, hey, we have an opportunity to unleash propaganda.
Which
here.
it's exactly
Yeah.
what it was. They had
Like-
tiny little flags.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
With their house insignia
Yeah,
on it.
it was absolutely propaganda.
Yeah.
Like there's no question. Two other little notes. First of all, I'm pretty sure this is a reference to one of the riderless dragons that's known as Sheep Stealer. I think that's
Another classic name.
I know, right?
Bulldozer. There are so many
Rhaegar,
ridiculous
Drogon, Bulldozer.
bulldozer, taser,
He's got really
laser,
big shoulders.
laser.
So there's this basically I think it's not Lady Bela, it's Lady Rhaena, I think. Lady Rhaena's in the Eyrie with all the other dragon eggs and all that shit, right? And she ends up walking around and she sees this like massive patch of like dead sheep.
Yeah.
Like that's big, right? And it's obviously a big dragon. And what's interesting about that is like she runs into the lady from the Eyrie and basically goes like, hey, you were just giving me shit the other day that we brought small dragons.
Right.
There's very clearly a
a
large
big dragon.
hanging out
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And so I they don't actually directly reference it by name, but I'm pretty sure that is Sheep Stealer.
Do you
'Cause
think she gets to ride Sheep Stealer?
I don't think she rides
No.
Sheep Stealer.
Because she's dragonless, is she not?
So if again, so this is
Potential
we
spoiler.
had yeah. So this is a potential spoiler. So like if you don't want to find out any information from the books, just fast forward like 30 seconds.
Your time's on now, Jay.
Yeah.
Hurry.
So here you go. Anyway, there are, if I'm not mistaken, 4 dragons that end up taking riders that are not of like traditional Valyrian blood.
Okay.
And one of them ends up being Alan, who rides Sea Smoke. But the 4 dragons, if I'm not mistaken, it's Sea Smoke, it's Vermithor, who's the golden dragon, it's Sheep Stealer, and then I can't remember what the 4th one is. But there's 4 of those dragons, and all of them eventually end up getting riders.
Right. Okay.
I'm-
That makes sense.
And I think Darkland might be the only one who dies, but those other 3 eventually get riders. So Sheepstealer will eventually get one.
Okay.
I just can't remember who exactly
Who
it
it
is.
is.
Okay, we're back from the spoilers thing. Yeah, and like as far as like the thumbnail thing, like I have a hard time because I so for instance, like when we're marketing an episode,
Oh.
like we have to put some like here's the thing with I like this is a business at the end of the day. Like Luke and I are trying to grow a show here. Like I do this professionally on this. Like that's my job. At the Volume we make NBA content, and like yeah, like we're going to put something in the thumbnail that makes you want to click.
It's a little bit catchy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because guess what? We have bills to pay. You
We
know,
got
like,
bills to pay.
Yeah, like we have bills to pay. So this is like now Two Sons isn't paying any real bills
No,
yet, but like
it's-
but
no, I mean,
eventually, hopefully,
We've bought like a case of water with how much money we got from Two Sons.
So the point is like at a certain point we like I kind of need to put something in the thumbnail that's like a little bit of a spoiler from the show and in the title. But like I understand how the Plagueis one was a little bit in that gray area. So
Yeah,
I
apologies.
think what I'm gonna do is like if it's like episode 6 or episode 4 of House of the Dragon and it's Vagar and Melee's fighting in the air. Or like, well, honestly, that was a good example. Rhaenys falling off of her dragon.
Right.
Right. Like that's a kind of a spoiler, right?
That's a huge spoiler.
But like
yeah, absolutely.
in the Star Wars universe, the Plagueis drop was such a big drop. And some of you guys are subscribed to the channel and you guys actually get notifications when a new episode comes out. I could see,
writing. Yeah.
Because like at first I was like, why are you scrolling through YouTube? Like and looking at recommendations before you watch the episode. Like I feel like that's asking for spoilers. But then the one of you guys who has been a longtime listener of ours ended up putting a comment that was like, "Hey, I got an alert," and I totally get that. I'm gonna try to be more delicate. I think what I'm gonna do is like if it's episodes that are not massively world shaking for that universe, we'll stick with the just putting a big picture of the biggest moment from that show.
Yeah.
But the next time like Darth Plagueis gets like if Darth Tenebrous
especially
gets
maybe Star Wars as well.
We'll just be a little bit more discreet about it because I get why that. I don't want to spoil stuff, but we also need to market the show. So
maybe we wait
balance.
like 24 hours or 48 hours and then we do the big title on it or something.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
the other thing we could do.
Because I don't
want to
piss off our like loyal viewers. You know, I Jason will tell you, like, I legit got sad. I was like, oh, shit. Like, we kind of ruined this for a lot of people.
No, and I don't want to. It's not the goal.
No.
Like, it also was our highest performing episode.
It was, and we're trying to grow the show. So, maybe we'll just, like, wait a little bit before we, like, really drop
and
it.
That may be what we do is we just go in, like, 24 hours later. Like, what is the appropriate moratorium?
I feel like 24 hours. Like,
24
for something
hours?
like Star Wars that is released weekly, I think 24 hours is enough.
Okay.
At least in my opinion, and I'm pretty
change the
conservative, right? Like I feel like I felt bad. Like 24 hours, like you said, we got bills to pay.
Yeah,
you know,
we got to put Plagueis on the thumbnail.
Freaking Plagueis,
Plagueis
man.
lives, man.
Yeah,
Plagueis lives, bro.
Weird Plagueis lives.
The last note that I had here was you put on your notes. Uno switch on Alicent. You want to explain that one?
Essentially, Alicent was just being devious from day one in the entire series of the House of the Dragon, and essentially, like, illegitimately, the High Towers have been atop of the throne since like day one, essentially since what's his name was like having all of his health issues, right? And it's funny because it just like
Viserys and his.
Yeah,
and his son Gerald.
Yeah. Steve. No, and like it was just it's kind of satisfying to see Alicent just being so low on the totem pole after she essentially wreaked havoc upon her entire universe, essentially by starting this war. It's almost refreshing.
And then last episode too, when she wanted to become queen, which was like literally.
I
love that Lord Larys like just put it straight up to her. He's like, I think it would be a bad idea during a war we are fighting to keep a woman off the throne, to put a woman on the throne.
It makes no sense.
like, and he kind of said it to her in a way that was like so plain that it's like, are you serious right now?
Speaking of, what's your take on Larys? Like, he's growing more likable for me, which is shocking. Because I kind of like really disliked him from the beginning. I think what it is for me, I don't really love his character. He's kind of a weirdo. If you remember, like at the end of last season, he was kind of doing like that weird like
foot thing.
Yeah,
the foot thing. Yeah,
off-putting, but hey, it's Game of Thrones. But
be careful,
anyways,
right out some feet, guys.
Yeah, sorry. If you like feet, I'm not judging. What was I saying? Oh. Well, Larys. Larry Larys. He's good at his craft. Like, I've got to give it to him. Like, he definitely has a very good understanding of public perception as well as the interworkings of the castle. Like, he's kind of like the Adam Chef of Game of Thrones.
So that's an interesting comp. The best NFL reporter out there,
but like he always like Adam like always knows, like he'll be on like ESPN and he'll be like getting texts. And he'll like look
him
down.
And Adrian Wojnarowski and Adam Schefter are like the only two people in the world and Shams Charania that can like be on national television, like scrolling their phone, and you're like, oh, important.
It's
things are
about to go
happening.
down. Yeah. And you like don't judge them for it. You
Oh,
know?
dude, I actually have a summer league story to tell you. So I was down at I was down on the floor, and I was backed up like behind the hoop. And so like this was the first year I got credentialed, which because like the first year I went, I was like, hey, I want to go to summer league, and the volume was like, what summer league? And I was like, I'll let you know how
They're
it
like,
goes.
go ahead.
So
You can do that.
They're like, you should go to summer league. So I got my own room at the MGM and like went to summer league. So then the next year, like, because I did a bunch of content there that was really successful, and so next year they're like, oh, we're doing summer league. So they
Right.
sent the whole damn force, right? So we all came, went to Vegas, and like they rented a studio, and we had all this crazy.
Oh yeah, you
stuff,
had that
right?
huge studio
Yeah.
last year. That was really cool.
But I don't know what happened, but they were like unable to secure me a credential.
last year.
Yeah. So like this year was the first year that I actually got credentialed. So I kind of got to go hang out in the media area. And so like I was hanging out a lot in like the area right behind the hoop, which is really cool because you can see the game there really cool. And I got to meet a bunch of people in the industry that I just kind of ran into while I was down there. But like I was in between talking to people, I was watching the games by just kind of like leaning on this like railing that like overlooked the court. And as I was sitting there, like Adrian Wojnarowski was like 5 feet to my right. And it was so funny because like he was in a conversation with somebody, and then like the dude walked away, and then like he kind of gets on his phone, and then my phone buzzes. And so I like pull my phone out and I like
it's
look,
him.
and I have Adrian Wojnarowski's tweet notifications
Yeah.
on because he's like the biggest NBA reporter
That's
out there.
really cool.
And so like I get a lot of useful information from him quickly. It's like there's two people I have tweet notifications turned on for. It's him and Shams. And usually during the trade deadline, like I'll turn on like Mark Stein and like Chris Haynes and like a handful of other guys that are like other news breakers. But Adrian Wojnarowski is a 365 day a year tweet notification guy for me. And like it was kind of crazy because I like looked at it and I'm like, and then I just kind of did one of these, and I was like, and then, like, put it
So he
away.
like tweeted as you were next to him and got the
it was
notification.
just kind of
That's
weird.
dope, man.
Yeah, it was just kind of weird.
That's really
But,
cool.
like,
That's a
but-
cool moment.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
it
just
was-
one of those moments where like it's like so subtle but like just so cool.
The whole
you know?
weekend was like that because like between like getting to interview Jaime Jaquez
Yeah,
Jr.
dude, that
getting
was cool.
to, like I got to meet a lot more people this year because I was credentialed. Like
Yeah.
the guys from Synergy had like a full box that overlooked the arena.
That's
and, like,
cool.
And like I ended up going and hanging out in there, and I met a couple of NBA assistant
That's so
coaches
cool.
and like spent some time in there. Dude, it was. I will say this though, like the I've done some kind of unusual things since I started with the volume. Like working with Colin has obviously been like a stressful thing just because I literally was a daily listener of his when I was growing
Yeah.
up. The studio at the Wynn was a really cool experience last year.
For sure.
Which was stressful because like those of you guys who've been to the Wynn, like there's the alleyway or the hallway of the casino walks right by it, and it's all glass, and it projects into the hall. So like
That is
I'm
pretty
like-
intimidating.
Yeah, and I don't do a conversational show. I do conversational shows, but my main show is just me, right? So like I'm
Right.
sitting in the chair and I'm like, and at one point I remember while I was recording last year, like Danny Green walked by and like stopped and just like looked through the window for a few minutes, and like I'm like trying to stay focused as I'm like as I'm doing it, you know. But it's so funny this year, as you know, my family came,
Yes.
which is an interesting experience. Love my family, but it just was like juggling a lot at the same
Of course,
time.
man. When you're doing an interview and you can see your mom in the background.
Exactly.
Hey, mom.
So, like, I'm walking through the Wynn because my brother stayed at the Wynn while they were there, and I was like, I want to show you guys the studio just because you guys had seen videos of it, but I want to show you guys what it looked like because we didn't even use that studio this year.
Mm-hmm.
And as we're walking in, there's like this huge crowd around the windows, and I'm like, somebody famous is in there right now because like. When
Right.
I was talking, like there'd be like 2 or 3 people that would stop by, and like as people are walking
Sure.
by, just because it's getting broadcasted, like people will stop.
Yeah, like
but,
what's going on?
Yeah, but like there was like 50 people like gathered around the window. I'm like, somebody clearly is like pretty famous here that everyone is like stopping to look. Well, I run up and it was Shaq.
No way.
And so it was cool because like I kept telling
Same
my
studio
family,
that you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kept telling my family, I'm like, I'm like, this is just kind of a cool experience. Like, there's just a lot of like really big names, and like,
Right.
And that later that night, we went to the USA game, which was literally just like star drop after star drop. It's like,
Of course,
here's Obama,
man.
here's Coach K, here's it
let
was
alone all the
Dwayne
players
Wade,
that are there.
Carmelo
Yeah.
Anthony, all these greats that are playing. Like, it was like insane at the game, but it was kind of cool because like like within 30 minutes of us arriving in Vegas, like they saw Shaq like recording
It's
at this
so
random
cool.
little studio. But anyway, this Jaime Jaquez interview thing was legitimately like one of the most nerve-wracking things I've ever
Dude, I
done.
can't imagine. Yeah.
Because like it's in the concourse of the arena, and it's during Bronny James's first game. So it's like shit packed in there.
Yeah.
Like as you're walking through the concourse, it is like shoulder to shoulder all the way through the entire thing. And so like at one point I'm like I'm gonna go check this out. I put my parents in like a couple of seats up in the nosebleeds and just put them up there to watch the game. And then I went down to just kind of scope out the situation. I needed to meet the people from Chase and like kind of introduce myself and stuff like that. And I walk into the restaurant, and dude, like in terms of actual standing room, it was only like maybe about 4 times the size of this room. So just imagine like
Yeah,
this
not
is like
big.
a quartet of that space, except for there were like pillars and like stands with merch and like
Sure.
all this stuff. So it was kind of like packed. And then there's just the 2 chairs in the front. And then like when it first of all, it's hot as shit in there.
Oh,
okay?
was it?
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
I
because
wa-
too many people
yeah,
were in there.
Well,
for
but and
like
it's also
what it was set up for.
Vegas in July. Like,
Yeah.
dude, when our airplane landed, the pilot goes like, "It's 118 degrees outside." I literally thought he was joking. Like, I thought he was like,
Dude, you're from Arizona.
I thought he
man.
was
you
saying
live in,
like it's 140 degrees outside. Like I thought he
you
was
live in the
joking.
dirty tea, Jay.
That day, exactly. But
Yeah.
dude, that day ended up being the hottest day ever recorded in Vegas.
Oh,
It was
that's
100.
good.
It got up to 120 that day.
Jeez.
So, but dude, so
There's a lot of concrete in Vegas,
I'm
too.
looking at Jaime Jaquez. He's sweating.
Yeah.
I'm sweating. I had brought a sport coat. I'm like, Mom, I need you to hold the sport coat.
Yeah,
Like,
that's why Mom's there.
yeah, exactly. So I'm like, and like, dude, they put all the microphones and stuff on you, and then like Jaime and I are sitting there, but they're like dealing with a couple last minute tech things to try to get the sound broadcast out into the thing. And like you look out the windows and you see just the seas of people,
Mm-hmm.
but a bunch of like Miami Heat fans had come into the restaurant, and so it was like shoulder to shoulder in the restaurant
Jeez.
in there. And so it was kind of like a crazy experience.
Yeah.
But like one of the things I appreciated about it is like it's the same thing that I felt like when I worked with Colin the first time when I did the shows at the Wynn. Like there's kind of like a moment where like it's about to happen,
Yeah.
and you kind of just have to lock in.
Dude, I know the exact same feeling. Like it's obviously different in regards to numbers, but obviously some of the things that I do in my job is like super, super important, where like people's like limbs depend on
Yeah.
like
Oh,
me
yeah.
being able to like do a good job, like working on them.
Dude,
or, like,
especially when you were in primary care, dude, like that. You
yeah,
were dealing
or
with some
like
high-stakes
looking
stuff.
at looking at labs coming in, you're like, holy cow, these are big labs. Like this could mean a lot. And there's times in my career when I've just kind of like taken a second and I'm just like, man, this is a really big ask. You know, like what I'm being asked to do, just like what you were being asked to do, you're like, man, this is like very sobering. And it's almost such a big ask that like you just get locked in.
Yeah, you have no choice.
You have no choice. You're either going to miserably fail.
like, like if I shit the bed there, it's like,
Yeah,
you
it's just
can't-
like, hey,
you
Jason's
can't shit
done.
the bed
Yeah,
there.
he's totally done. He's fired from the volume. No, but like, no, it's like it's such a big ask that like you almost have that talk with yourself. You're just like, I'm gonna do this, and then you just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a really cool feeling when you get done because you're just like, wow, I'm gonna talk to my wife about this. You
Well,
know,
and
like
the fear
it's
is
cool.
the cool part. The stakes are
yeah.
cool. Like there's like the nothing has made me feel that type of like kind of like nervous excitement since I was playing college basketball.
Really, yeah.
Like like there's never been anything that's been able to recreate that feeling for me. Now it's rare because my job is very routine. Like I wake up every morning, I watch film, I record in my guest bedroom. So
No,
like I'm
but-
here. But like when those things happen, like they're kind of like cool moments
Dude.
because they are the unique little. And it happens like it's once a year, but that once a year,
It's the
I
thing
get
that
little
keeps you
bit
sharp.
Of a feeling.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like or the equivalent for me, it's like, oh, this guy's heart rate's 32. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, we're gonna do this.
is an
Yeah,
issue.
this is a problem, and we've got to be locked and loaded.
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
No, I totally know the feeling. Yeah,
But
way
Vegas,
different.
Vegas was cool. The Sphere shows were insane.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I cannot. I won't even try to describe it on the show because it's like literally just not. It's not possible to put it into words. but like the main thing that stood out to me is like a lot of times when you go see a show, the acoustics are shitty. So like
True, because
whether
it's usually like outdoor in a ballpark
for a bunch
like
of
a
different
baseball
reasons.
park.
So like you go see Zach Bryan or Taylor Swift, everyone's singing. So you're not actually seeing them sing, you're seeing their fans sing, which sucks. And you go see Zach Bryan or Charles Wesley
And
Godwin,
it's
it's
a lot of
such a
drunk-
young clientele that they're all drunk, and it's like it can turn into a shit show pretty
Sure.
fast. You go listen to some mainstream country singer, most of them can't actually sing, so you get to see him in a country concert and it's kind of shitty. Like it's the same thing with rappers. I've never actually been to a rap show, but like I listened to rap a lot when I was a kid, and I remember when I would like go watch a YouTube video or a social media clip of a rapper live, it's like they're kind of just yelling
chaos.
into the mic.
Yeah. You're totally
it kind of
right.
doesn't sound good, you know? Or like, but even when I go see the Dead, like I've seen the Dead 3 times before the Sphere, and like when I watched them at Ak-Chin Pavilion, it's like the acoustics are okay, but they're not great. Like
Yeah.
you're kind of like getting a little too much of one instrument and not enough of another instrument, or like you might be in a spot in the arena where you're getting a little bit of like it kind of
reverb.
sounds like it's being like powered by like almost like a megaphone and not like a quality speaker,
I
you
see.
know? And so like it can be a little low quality. When I was at Oracle Park, oh my God, dude! Looking over what's the bridge that goes to Oakland? I think it might just be called.
I think it was the Oakland Bridge. Yeah,
But like you could see the Oakland Bridge and you could see the bay and like the
Dude, all the
drone
shipping
show was
containers or
amazing,
all the shipping boats.
boats going through.
That
like,
was cool.
It was cool, but like I vividly remember, like you were there.
Of course, yeah.
Luke was there. So I gotta tell you,
yeah,
about the
yeah.
Park show
Let me
sometime.
know. Yeah, we had that lady in front of us that couldn't handle us being there.
Dude,
She had to
and
move.
You know, it was kind of like, yeah, she did not. We were in the nosebleeds of Oracle Park,
Which is
and
where
there
the
was
Giants
like
play,
there was
for
like
anybody
this
who doesn't
deadhead
know.
in front of us, and like, dude, she was getting down and like dancing and like really getting into the music. And I was talking to Carly about this the other day. I think once you get into the nosebleeds like that, like I think it's a little bit more free to like talk and be a
Yeah,
little
and we weren't being
informal.
obnoxious.
No,
we're
we
like,
weren't.
hey, this is great. This is really cool. Are you guys having a good time? Like
Yeah.
it was all normal stuff.
Yeah.
We weren't like yelling absurdities
Yeah.
into the wind.
Every time we would talk, this lady would like turn around and like give us a look, and then she'd like get back to
I
me.
know.
She was like, "Wow." But
She was a fake chill person. We
Deadhead-
all know those.
Deadheads are a different breed.
Yes.
But do you remember like how much of a vibe it was that
Yeah.
like the ballpark vendors were
Oh,
there?
it was so cool.
Yeah.
All of it. Yeah.
Dude, like there's just a dude like at a ballpark who's walking up the steps like, got your beers,
I
and
know,
corn dogs
dude.
here, you know, like it's so like Luke and I were like, yeah, beers.
yeah, we did get some beers. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Like that was kind of a cool vibe. Like that was
Yeah.
all great, but like
But the
Althea's
quality?
playing, and like as I'm listening, like every once in a while, I say every once in a while, it was like once every 10 seconds, like a breeze would come through and it would like kind of like break up the sound waves.
Yeah.
And you would like, it would almost like kind of like fade in and out on you. And so like, don't get me wrong, the Sphere was an incredible experience. The screen was unbelievable. The Dead and Company crowds in general are because they're doing fun. They're not like alcohol brings out the worst in people. So like alcohol, like a drunk
This is
crowd
about to
can
be a
can be messy, but like
Uh-huh.
the kinds of drugs that the Deadheads are doing are joy, happy,
Oh.
like floaty drugs. So they're all like happy.
If
It's-
you remain alive while taking these drugs, it'll be a vibe. If you die, you die.
but like the
Jay.
dead people are a vibe, and then most importantly, like that arena, that Sphere is acoustically perfect.
It's set up
And
well.
so, because like when I would go to the shows, I usually was like most excited for after the show when I get my nugs.net subscription.
Oh, and then you
like
could listen to that
because I could
high
listen to
quality.
the actual soundboard recording, and it was always like amazing. And I'd be like,
Right.
oh, like being there was cool, but this is like a different experience. Like at the arena, like you just get this incredible experience.
Yeah.
The show they played on Saturday night that I went, they played like all my favorite songs.
I'm glad.
Like I got Althea and Sugary and
Dude.
Bertha. Like it was just a legendary show.
I'm looking at your mug right now, Dead and Company, Dead Forever. So you've listened to their last concert how many times now?
Yeah, no, like so Luke, I dragged we actually ended up going with our whole friend group to San Francisco for like what were we there like 4 days? I think it was 4
Yeah.
full days. So it was like 2 days in wine country and then 2 days in San
Right.
Francisco, right?
Uh-huh.
And it ended up being like I roped everybody in. I was like, hey, Dead and Company last trip, Carly and I are going to go see the show.
I felt like I had to as your
but
best,
like, does anybody
want
to go to San Francisco? And then everyone was like down, and all of a sudden we went with like 8 people. Remember? And we did wine country for 2 days, which was great. We had a crazy night in Chinatown. Yeah, that was pretty wild.
Yes.
And then we had that random night where we went to go see Charles Wesley Godwin too.
Yeah, I sat out on that
Yeah,
one.
which you guys didn't go to that
Yeah,
one.
I was
but like it ended up being a great trip all in all. But like, yeah, that concert, it just pales in comparison to what that Sphere experience was.
I'm
like.
glad it was good.
But anyway, I roped them all in because I was like, dude, last tour.
Yes,
Like,
and it was marketed as the last time
Yeah.
that we were ever going to see Dead and Co.
so Luke and I
Ever.
were joking the other day because we're like, it's kind of brilliant marketing that it's like, hold up, we're here forever. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like Dead Forever. It's like Dead Final.
So then
and
they
it's
had-
like Dead Forever. It's like
Yeah.
the afterlife,
So
right?
they
But
had
it's-
another series of concerts at the Sphere.
Yes,
but
what if they did another one next year? Like, what do you brand it then? Like,
But really, we're dead. Is that what- we're so dead.
this time I swear we're actually dying this year.
One of us is going to die on stage in front of everybody, and then you'll know we're really dead for forever.
Anyway, Vegas was fun. I did
Good.
want to. You and I haven't actually.
I know
talked to you
it's
about
fun to
Vegas,
hear because
so
I've
we
been
did it
dying
on
to
the
hear about
show.
the interview, and dude, they still haven't released it yet. I'm dying to see
It's
it.
coming out tomorrow morning. 7
Okay,
a.m.
cool. I'm excited to see it. But I
Jaime
wanted to
was
ask
very
you.
nice and he was very engaging and it was all in all, it was a great experience. The only thing that's been kind of annoying is just like navigating all of the backdoor legal stuff that's taken 11 days for the show to
like
get
Chase,
released.
your large sponsor.
Yeah, it's just the hoops that you have to jump through for these kinds of things. It's just what makes this one complicated is it's like there's 4 entities. There's the Volume, there's iHeartRadio, there's Chase, and then there's the NBA Players Association. So it's just kind of like it's just kind of complicated.
Damn,
but
that is a lot of hands
it-
in the cookie jar.
and that also is kind of just like the way the business works.
Yeah.
But it was fun. Vegas was good. I'm glad we got to chat about it. Lord Laris.
man. Lord Laris. Yeah, what's your take on him? Do you like him or
I
not?
think we're good. All right, guys, that is all we have for today. Luke and I are going to record some thoughts on the Acolyte right now that we'll share for tomorrow that we're excited to go over with you guys. As always, we appreciate the support. We will see you tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks a lot.